Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Good evening. Is my mic's working? Okay. We're opening with county commissioners this evening, so I will call the May 27th county commissioners meeting to order at 5:30. And we are going right to, there's no changes to the agenda. We are going right to election of officers. Do I have a nomination for chair?
I nominate Jill.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That carries unanimously, 5-0, and I'll turn it over for vice chair election.
Can I get a nomination for vice chair?
I nominate Robert.
Can I get a
Who's
second?
that? How about Bobby? I'll take Bobby.
Is that?
I'll take a
Second?
second.
That was a second.
Okay. And on your motion, Brooke,
Oh.
everyone, or I guess we can all do it right
Yeah.
here. So,
All those in favor, you have to say.
do I have to say that?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That carries unanimously. Yes. Okay. It's on. It's on. Yeah. I don't really know this agenda, so forgive me if I stumble a little bit. This meeting is being audio video recorded. Do we have any public comment for county?
There is a hand up.
Okay.
Hopefully it's,
Do we know Miss Kareem? Is she on, Erica?
They're muted. I don't know if they're a real person or not.
Okay. Do we know Miss Kareem?
Radha Karin, if you are on. Okay, we're just gonna,
Move on. Okay. So I'll close public comment. Is there any new business?
no,
Can I get an approval of the minutes, warrants, and pending contracts? Since I wasn't here, I'm gonna recuse.
So moved?
second.
And on your motion, Matt, or I guess all in favor?
Aye.
and so Bobby and Jill, you both
We recused,
abstained. Yep,
or sorry.
that's
abstained.
okay.
And I guess we need to make an appointment for the NPEDC from county. Is that next up?
Did we do the
Yeah.
payroll?
We did them together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did it together because we weren't here then either.
So for your work group for the county, it's only the NP and EDC. The only person that has expressed interest in being the NP EDC rep is Ms. Hill. Is that still the case? Okay.
Yep, I'll do it.
I nominate Brooke. Sean.
I'm gonna force Brooke to do it. I'll second
You're
that.
gonna want me over there in a minute.
All in favor?
Aye.
That carries unanimously. Excellent. Are there any reports or comments from any of the county commissioners?
I would move adjournment,
Second.
Madam Chair.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Good job. Okay, now we will call the May 27th Select Board meeting to order at 5:33. We have a couple of changes to the agenda. We have one additional announcement. And also under the announcements, number 7, the date was incorrect. It should say Friday, June 5th instead of Friday, June 6th. And under approval of the minutes, we are, the minutes of April 27th and May 18th are not ready yet. So we'll just be approving the others. So with those changes, we'll accept the agenda and move to announcements. Hi, Libby.
Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. This meeting is being video and audio recorded. The town manager's monthly e-news is coming out tomorrow, May 28th. And we hope that people are subscribing so you can stay connected with town communications, including newsletters, alerts, and updates. And the link is shown on the agenda. There is a housing production plan community workshop coming up, sponsored by the Housing Department and Affordable Housing Trust. It's the second workshop, actually. It's on Monday, June 1st from 4:30 to 6 at the Nantucket High School cafeteria. Remote participation is also available. There's also an associated housing production plan community survey, and the second round of that has been released. That is open through Sunday, June 7th, and that survey link is online. We are inviting public comments on the Vineyard Wind debris response summary. That plan is out for review and comment, like I said, and is in the announcement item. Those comments and or questions are due by June 15th, and more information is at the link on the meeting agenda. We've added a subscriber list to our public comment questions page, which features, as is noted on the agenda, responses to questions raised during the public comment portion of select board meetings, and you can sign up for that at the link shown on the agenda. We're launching a new town website. It's a redesign. I shouldn't say new, it's just a redesign of our current website that will launch this Friday, June 6th. There will be a bit of a transition for users during the transition period of time, which is about 3 hours. And I'm sorry, that's not June 6th. As we said earlier, it's June 5th. And I think the energy coordinator has an announcement. Is Lauren there or online?
Thanks, Libby. Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the board. Lauren Sinatra, Energy Coordinator for the town. I want to follow up on the community and energy information sessions that I briefly mentioned last week. The Town Energy Office and National Grid will be hosting public sessions on June 1st and 2nd to help residents learn about programs and resources available to lower energy costs. And that would include billing assistance, mass save incentives, smart metering, home energy assessments, Nantucket Power Choice, solar rebates, and other energy saving initiatives such as demand response. Sessions will be held on Monday, June 1st from 3 to 6 p.m. at the meeting trailer on Pleasant Street. Tuesday, June 2nd from 10:30 to 1:30 at the Salt Marsh Senior Center. And Tuesday, June 2nd from 3 to 6 at Nantucket Food Fuel Rental Assistance on Boynton Lane. All events are free and open to the public. Additional details will be included in the town manager's newsletter that comes out tomorrow, and they're already posted on the town's website and calendar. My contact information is listed in all of these in case anybody has questions. I thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. Are there any opening select board announcements or comments?
I'm going to make a shameless plug for the blood drive. It's next Tuesday and Wednesday. If you would like to give blood, you can get the QR code off any of the posters or banners that are around town. There are quite a few spaces still available on Wednesday. So if you would like to give blood, please do so. It's very important for everyone, including all of us in this room. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, we don't have any update on public comments from previous select board meetings this evening. We do have public comment for items that are otherwise not on our agenda for discussion, and we just do need to limit these comments to 3 minutes. Is there anyone here for public comment?
There's one person with their hand raised too.
Oh, okay, Catherine Ward.
Kathy, go ahead. You just need to unmute.
Kathy?
Kathy, we can't hear you.
Oh, here you go.
Now you can.
Yeah, you heard me. Okay.
Yep.
I received the letter today from the water company, and I understand the seriousness of our situation, and like most others will abide by the rules. The question is, why would we even consider letting pools be filled? They need water during the summer just to keep them full, not just for filling new pools. They take thousands of gallons of water, and my garden does not. So I'm wondering what the criteria is going to be to allow people to fill their pools. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Is on? Great. Megan Perry for the record. I was just curious if at any point in time we might get the elusive audit of the Wiggles Way project. I think it was asked for like the very end of 2024, maybe, and we still haven't seen it. My understanding is the select board was interested in learning from the mistakes made along the way. A lot of money was spent, and we don't have any reason for why. I've asked the housing director, the finance director, you guys have all been copied on those emails, to no avail. And I think the taxpayers are owed that. It's a lot of money spent with no answers given. So if you guys could maybe look into it a little bit more. I know it was supposed to be, the draft form was supposed to be available before town meeting. Then conveniently, the Affordable Housing Trust meeting got pushed back. It was never released, et cetera, et cetera. I'd love to see a copy of it, even in the draft form, before it gets changed. So that'd be wonderful. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Okay, seeing none. There's no new business. We'll move to approval of minutes, warrants, and, we'll move to approval of the minutes, payroll warrants, and treasury warrants without the April 27th or May 18th minutes. Is
I'll
there a
make-
motion?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Second.
All,
Well,
you can
I will,
still
I will
vote.
vote on the 20th. But the rest of them I'm going to recuse from, because that was our first meeting last week. So we can vote on all of them, I guess. but-
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, all right. And, but are we going to divide up the minutes from the others? Because I had a question about one of the
well, go
pending
ahead.
contracts.
Well, we're not voting on,
We're just going to do the minutes.
I'm leaving off pending contracts because I know that there are questions.
So my motion is for minutes, payroll warrants, and treasury warrants only.
Excellent.
Second.
A second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that carries unanimously 5-0. And then we will move to pending contracts. And Libby, I think that there's a couple of questions.
First, I wanted to point out that the maintenance agreement with DPW and the Department of Transportation is a pretty substantial increase from the current contract. It's doubling the annual reimbursement from 75,000 per year to 150. So I really want to thank the DPW director. He worked hard with MassDOT to get an increase in that contract. There is a lot more maintenance work that's happening now than happened in the past. So I wanted to make note of that. And I know there were some emails earlier yesterday and today about the tennis lease. And I believe that has been more or less resolved between DPW, Parks and Rec, and Town Council this afternoon. I wasn't around this afternoon, so I didn't completely see the final outcome. But it's my understanding that that contract is complete.
Do you
And
think you can speak to how it was resolved?
Or Charlie's on.
Oh, is Charlie on too?
They both are.
Drew, do you want to take that?
I'd like to pull that one contract out and vote on it separately, if you don't mind.
That's fine.
I'm sorry, it's a little hard to hear what in the room.
Drew, I think the board was requesting an explanation of how the tennis contract issue was resolved this afternoon.
Sure, and Charlie can speak to it even more than I, but yeah, there was some confusion about the timing of the signatures on the contract, which was just a little mix up between finance and the lessee. And then as far as charging for play, the intent was to charge visitors and there would be no charge to residents. That has been made clear on the booking website. And we, I think at a later date, would just want to clarify that through a quick addendum to the lease contract for the concession.
I think the way I heard you say is residents can play for free and non-residents will be charged. And I'm assuming you're going to use like a driver's license or something for a way to validate whether you live here or not.
That's correct, Bob.
So
There's an initial $20 reservation fee that is refundable when you go to check in. You present your license or proof of residency with a Nantucket address, and that will be refunded. This is something that was put in place to kind of incentivize people to show up for their reservations. In the past, people reserve courts for free and then decide, hey, it's a nice day, I'm going to go to the beach, and not show up. And then we had people trying to do walk-ons, but the court's already reserved. So this way, you can either show up, get your fee refunded, or call and cancel, of course.
And Charlie, how does the pickle courts work? Because every pickle court I've ever played on, you just show up, you put your racket in the slot, and you wait for your turn. Do they reserve the pickle courts as well?
Yep, there are 4. You can reserve all 4 courts can be reserved, just like a tennis court. It's all encompassed in the same facility. So you would reserve for an hour block at a time.
Yeah, I mean, I played in numerous different places where they're open to the public, and you have 2-person teams. You put your racket in the slot, you wait your turn, then you rotate through the 4 courts or 6 courts, whatever's there, and then if you want to keep playing after that, then you go back to the first court. I get it with tennis, you don't rotate through in tennis, but it seems to me like if somebody wants to reserve the court for pickle, I have a problem with that because it turns into a golf thing where you get online in the morning and you book your slot, and now the pickle court's reserved every day from now until Labor Day. So I want to make sure people have the opportunity to play pickle if they want to play.
Yeah. So the way the reservation software is set up is you cannot book more than a 2-hour block at a time. It'll trigger an alert to Tina, who's running the courts, if somebody's trying to book like all day, and she'll go in, contact the person, and say you can only book a maximum of a 2-hour block if you're trying to play. I believe is how we did it last year. It's just the best way to operate the courts.
Erica has a technical question about volume.
People are saying that they can't hear Bobby. So I know it's tough because
Okay.
when you turn your head, you
Um,
kind of get lost. So just speak
so,
really clearly into your
yeah.
mics.
Should I repeat what I said so that?
I think it was just a little tough to hear you.
I think Jill wanted to say something.
I think what you're talking about is some of the programming that they have at the pickle courts. Charlie, can you tell us if she has a drop-in as part of her programming? Because it sounds like that's how Bob's played, where everyone can show up and just play and rotate through, but people are reserving courts for their own foursome.
Correct. So walk-ins are always welcome if there's a court available. We just found that because these are the only public courts, you don't need to be a member to join. That having the reservation software just kept it clean. That way, people weren't arguing over whose time slot was whose.
I just don't know if Tina's gonna have a drop-in that you're talking about,
Yeah,
where you just show up and people wait and you pay like $10 to play.
I'm going to play a little bit of ignorancy here because I haven't actually seen the facility, so I don't know how many courts are there. I don't know if there's 2 or 4 or whatever, but
There are 2 standalone and 2 that are cross-lined over a tennis court. And the way the reservation software works is if somebody books the tennis court, it locks out the pickleball courts for the hour and vice versa. As soon as one of those pickleball courts is booked, it locks out the tennis court. So you don't have some people showing up to play tennis and pickleball at the same time.
do we have the ability that after this season, Charlie, to tweak how this is done? Or is this, once we sign this contract, is this contract just for what, 3-4 years? Are our hands tied as to how this can be laid out so that how the public can access this?
I believe we could make an amendment if needed. This reservation software has been up for, I believe, 2 seasons now, so it's not necessarily something new as far as reserving the court. Certainly for the pickleball, that was new as of last year, but it seemed to work pretty well last year.
I, I just, to me, this is one of the things that I have a little bit of a hard time with. The town's job is to provide services. That's our business. We're not a company that builds widgets. We provide services to people. And we built these courts, and now we hire someone to manage them, which I understand we don't have the staff to do it. But I feel like we're charging people for everything. And I would just as soon see these courts, at least the pickle courts, be open and free, and people can just show up with their rackets like they do in a million other places, put them in the slot, and play when it's their turn, and not have to get online and deal with, oh, I couldn't get a time slot because it was already booked. If you really want to play, show up and play. And if we have to pay a little, collect less money for that, then that's what we should do. And, you know, everything, I mean, I just have this vision in 10 years, we're charging people to go to the beach. I mean, that's just the way I feel about this. So I think the courts are great. I wish there were more of them, but I don't think we should be charging people or giving people the opportunity to book a slot out 2 weeks from now when they're going to be here on vacation because, oh, I'm going to be in Nantucket the first 2 weeks of July and I want to play pickle on Wednesday. So they book the slot, and then somebody who's here who wants to go play that day can't because the court's booked for a foursome. You know, there's the way that I've played in the past where you just rotate through, it's great. And you play with different people all the time, every day. It's not the same four people eating the court up for an hour. So I would ask that we vote on this separately because I'm going to probably vote no on this just because of the way this is structured.
Drew?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, as Charlie mentioned, like drop-in tennis and pickle is certainly an option for the public. The booking system is nice because people can reserve a time when they know that the courts are available for them and they're available to use the courts. In the past, this is going back a couple of years, Charlie tried to get a summer staff member to help man the courts and facilitate, usage and turnover. And we were unable to hire somebody. So I would say the benefit of this lease is that there's somebody there all day, every day to manage the courts. Additionally, I think one thing that's kind of being lost a little bit or forgotten about is the maintenance. So the maintenance of the courts, the nets, the wind screens, all that stuff is the responsibility of the lessee. Charlie is our only Parks and Rec employee. So I think it's a great benefit to have a permanent presence down there. In years past, Tina has done lessons, but really had no responsibility or of maintenance or the courts that she wasn't using. So I think there is a public benefit.
In terms of the booking, is there, like, can you only book reservations for like this week or next week? Or can you actually book them out for the whole summer? Because I think that's would be part of the concern.
I believe you could, like, if you were coming in August, you could book your August court now, if you'd like.
Okay, see, I think that you might want to rethink that in terms of usage. But then on the flip side, and during busy periods, I would hate to like get dressed to go play, drive down there and just like be sitting there waiting for hours to get onto a court. Like I'd like to know that I was committed to fighting my way down to Jetty's in the middle of July and ready to play, that I could play.
And I would say a bulk of the people that are booking far out are people who are coming down, for that week in August. So they like to know, all right, I'm going to be down there. I can book my time now, so I can. Or should I even bring my stuff to play?
Yeah, but see, that's the problem, that takes away from more of the local people who are here all the time who want to decide on Sunday that they want to play on Thursday, and it's the entire first 2 weeks of August are booked out with visitors.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think the reality is we don't have enough tennis courts. That's the problem. There are more pickle courts at NRSA and they have a drop-in program and anybody can go and play there. So I think a lot of the pickles focus there. They do charge as well, but that is also a public access. There are a lot of, and they're getting a lot more pickle courts that are going to open up in July. So a lot more access to that. We really don't have any public tennis courts. So I think that's where you're going to see a backlog. And I appreciate not charging. I'm on board with that.
I don't have a problem with charging for tennis and booking reservations. I understand that. That's
A
different.
little bit, yeah.
It's the pickle that I have a problem with because you drop into a court, you play a pickle game, it lasts 15 or 20 minutes, and then you just move to the next court or the next person cycles in. And I understand what you're saying, Charlie, but we need to have somebody to maintain the property and all that. But I've played pickle on courts all up and down the coast of Florida, and there's nobody standing there to make sure that people are rotating in the proper way. People just police it themselves. They do need to be clean. The municipalities, whether it's someone that works for the city or someone that is contracted, comes every night and they sweep them and they make sure that the fences are maintained and all that. And I don't have a problem paying someone to do that. I know we don't have the manpower to do it. I just feel like I mean, I'll give you an example. If you want to play golf in Maya Common in July or August, they open up the tee times on Monday or whenever it is, Sunday morning to Monday morning. They open them up to the members first, and then they open to the public. Within hours, the week is gone. You can't get a tee time. And I just have the same vision of this being this down here where you can't get a tee time. So let me ask you this, Charlie. If somebody comes for the month, for a week in August, can they book the 8 o'clock slot for pickle every morning for that week that they're here, for the 6 days or 7 days that they're here? Can they do that?
I believe that the way this reservations offer is set up now, they can.
So that's what I'm thinking needs
Yeah.
to be changed to a different policy, but I have a bunch of public hands up. Christy Ferrantella?
Hi, thank you, Christy Ferrantella. I just wanted to make a quick comment. About 25 years ago, it was my first job working at Jetty's Tennis, and we managed the exact same system where people could come in and reserve, and residents didn't have to pay by showing a license, and visitors paid $20. So I think the system that's in place has worked for over 20 years, and whether it's a town staff or a contract out, what has occurred works and doesn't need changing. And I guess my only comment is I'm surprised that it's still only $20 after 25 years. So maybe that's something that we also want to look at. Thank you.
Robert Little?
Can you
Go
hear
ahead,
me?
Robert.
Oh, okay, thank you. I just want to pinch hit here quickie on the reservation piece from South Plymouth. Betsy and I have a membership at the Old Colony YMCA, which is just 5 minutes up the road. Reservations for classes, which are really very popular and very booked in all disciplines, for the next day are available starting at 7 a.m. So like if I wanted to take a yoga class or a pickleball class or a tennis class tomorrow, I can book that reservation at 7 a.m. today. And for the most popular classes, if you hang around and pick your nose for 2 minutes, at 7:02, your class is full. But people aren't booking days and weeks in advance and swamping the reservation system. It's 1 day in advance, and that's it. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Megan?
Just curious, is it possible to use any of the public school tennis courts? I believe there's 6 of them to help alleviate some of the crowdedness.
I think they do have some use. You don't think?
You can book those for, I think it's a similar price, and it's just you book it through the community school. So it's just a different system of reservation.
What is
And I don't know at what time, like if you can do it 3 months in advance or not, I don't know.
They do summer camp there as well. They have a half day tennis camp in the mornings.
my understanding is they charge $40.
It's 40. Yeah, I'm not
So-
sure.
Is it possible to try to maybe mirror what's already in place and working in other
Meg,
situations?
can you just adjust the mic because people can't hear you from home?
Oh, thanks. Do I need to repeat all of that?
No, I heard you.
Just checking.
Well, if $40, is that 20 per person? And is Jetties per person or per court?
Per court hour.
Okay. Okay,
Cool.
well,
Thank you.
Yeah, that might be a community school question because they manage those and it's may go into their budget. So
All municipal though, right? Yep, cool. Thank you.
Drew?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No, I mean, I'll be short. I very much appreciate the concern about being able to book in advance or someone booking up a number of times in a certain week when they're here visiting. I was just going to reiterate what Charlie said, which is this same system has been in place for the last couple summers, and we really have not had an issue as far as pickleball or tennis to date. So, you know, as he mentioned earlier, if that's something we want to revisit at a later date, if the problem is realized, I think we'd be more than happy to revisit it. And I don't want to put words in Tina's mouth. I know she more than anyone wants the course to be successful, and I think she's amenable to, you know, helping us achieve that. But like I said, I think the concerns are valid, but they really haven't been realized in the last couple of summers. So you know, it's worked well.
Brooke?
Does the contract specify how the reservations work? Is it detailed in the contract?
Charlie?
No,
Or
it
is
just
there
asks that they
flexibility?
provide a reservation software,
Okay.
you know, to handle the bookings, and that sort of stuff. I can say that, you know, I don't think last year, having looked at, you know, I was able to see the calendar. I don't think there was ever a day where pickle was booked solid, where the tennis courts were booked 100% solid. So there's always, we haven't experienced that yet. I'm sure if the board, you know, if it's the pleasure of the board, I can talk to Tina and see if there's a way if we can restrict, you know, whether it be 2 weeks out for a reservation or something like that. I'm sure they can probably tweak the software so it opens it's some sort of increment like that, if that's what you prefer.
I guess my point is that if the specifics of the reservation aren't detailed in the contract, then it sounds to me like it's open to sort of discussion, negotiation with Tina. If we think a better system might work.
I think Bobby has a good suggestion, though. We could block out, you know, a certain time slot every day to do what you're talking about, Bobby, and then run that this summer and compare, you know, is that popular? Do people show up and do that? Because I think if the goal is to get people out there doing it, then let's make it easy for them to do that. And so I would like to see that in place now, and I'll vote for it. I'll vote if we have a chance to, you know, see the numbers, see the contract, see the numbers, and do the other stuff in the future. I'd love to see that prior. I didn't expect it would take this much tonight, but I would love to see that prior and have, you know, sort of a chance to adjust it if need be.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to make a suggestion that we move to adopt the contract so it can move forward and the program can start with a request for some kind of addendum that gives us the ability to go back and get information about and discuss how the reservation system's working. How does that sound?
Yeah, I'll accept that.
I mean, I think that's a good suggestion. I do worry a little bit about the data that the courts weren't booked solid like all day or all week, but like was 8 a.m. booked every single day and was 5 p.m. booked every single day. And maybe just Charlie, do you know the answer to that?
Yeah, so for the most part, just like say golf, like most popular times are early morning or later afternoon, not peak, you know, middle of the day. Because everyone wants to be out there early so they can go on and play, you know, go to the beach instead of being out there in the noonday sun. So there was definitely more open space, I would say middle day. I don't think there was ever a period where it was the same name. I can see if I can get into this software and go backwards last year to see if there's ever a period of time where the same person had booked, like say 8 a.m. all week. You know, normally I think what we'd found is someone would book a 2-hour block where people would try to book 4 hours straight on a specific day. And in that case, Tina would trigger in the software. Tina would contact and say there's a 2-hour maximum. You know, because people would show up with a wedding party of, you know, 10 or 12 people and play and rotate in on their own, you know, court hour.
Okay. So, I mean, I think that that's a good safeguard, but I think we should kind of make it part of the motion that this has to come back with a plan to not be able to book out the whole summer, whether.
whatever the will of the board is, I would like to see at least 2 days a week, 2 mornings a week, not the whole day, but 2 mornings a week where it was open to just anyone can come and put their bracket in the drop-in,
The
The
drop-in.
whether it's Tuesday and
a drop-in.
Thursday or something, just so people who are here, I mean, sometimes you're a single and you just go and there's other singles there and you play together. It's not always about having 4 people or, 2 people to play with. So I would
Yeah.
like to see that.
That's fine.
Charlie, do you think that that's something that would be?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask Bob if is there a specific block of a day, whether it be 8 to 12 or 10 to 2?
Yeah, whatever the hours are in the morning, Charlie, from, like, I don't know, if court opens at 8 to 11, or even 8 to 10, just a couple hours, 2 days a week, or 3 hours, 2 days a week, so that people can come and go through one summer and see how it works. And then we'll know if it's something that we need to maybe expand on down the road. But I think there's a lot of people that pickles become very popular and people don't always have a foursome. So by having the open time, anyone can come and play.
Brooke, then Jill.
So I'm going to suggest that we approve the contract and appoint Bobby to meet with Charlie and the operator to work out a schedule that allows for drop-in time, unreserved time for people to drop in and just come back and present that to us after it's resolved.
Yeah.
And a reservation system.
Yeah, and tweaks to the reservation.
that
So a
doesn't
whole conversation.
allow
Yeah, I mean,
booking
she al-
summer.
Mhm.
Sorry.
She
go
also
ahead.
has some people that have lessons and things like that. So there's other programming going on there. But again, I just want to remind everybody, there is drop-in every single day at NRSA and that is open to the public and it's excellent.
But these are
So-
public courts.
Those are too. Anyone can go. They can. But I'm just saying, for people who are concerned that there is that access. But I think it's a great idea to have a drop-in down there.
Okay. I'll be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Okay. So Brooke made the motion. I think Matt seconded it. Okay with everything that's been added? Matt?
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure. Okay. So we'll vote on that contract and then we'll vote on the rest, or are we good to vote on all of them?
No, I think unless you have something.
I have
A
one
question or
question.
something else? Okay, let's vote on this contract.
Let's do this one.
So we'll vote on the Jetty's tennis courts first. All those in favor?
Aye.
That carries unanimously 5-0. Another?
I just wanted to ask about it looks like Remain made a grant for a solar feasibility study at 2 fairgrounds. Is that how I understood that? I'm new to reading the contracts and grants.
Yes.
Right. And so what kind of is involved in the feasibility study? Is this looking at the cost for design and permitting and construction and ripping out the parking lot and installation, or is it just looking at once it's installed to see what kind of the benefits are and the cost savings are at the end of it?
Drew or Greg, do you have the info on that one?
Hi, Greg.
You can hear me. Hi, Madam Chair. The feasibility study is a gift from Remain in order to offset the large energy costs from the hive that was open for operation a couple of years ago. Their gift is to look at a solar carport canopy in the 2FG parking lot.
Right. I just wanted to know the details of the study. Is it just to look at what the cost savings would be, or is it to
No,
look
I'm
at the
sorry.
actual cost
it's
of
look-
building it and who's going to build it?
It's to look at the feasibility of how much energy would be created, where it could possibly go in the parking lot, and what the gains would be back to the town. So it's a full feasibility study.
So it is looking at the cost of design and permitting, construction and all that as well?
All the above, yes.
Okay.
I have
Sal?
I have a suggestion on that is, I would like them to be looking at the placement. Should it be over a parking lot or over two fairgrounds that we might be moving or, or building a new building there. These have a 20 or 30-year lifespan, probably longer because at that point we'll have new solar panels that will go up. So do we want to be doing it over the covered parking in the police lot, et cetera? We should be looking at it, what makes the most sense that will not change over that time period. So I want to make sure that's in the scope of the study.
Madam Chair, if I can just address that.
This property, Greg, sorry.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair. To Mr. Fee, the scope is only looking at putting it at the new park that was created in the 2FG parking lot. That was required by the Massachusetts Environmental Protection Agency, called the MIPA Park. It's property that we cannot build on. So the scope is just to look for it there. Just to let you know, if we want to revise the scope, we would probably have to do that before you approve it.
I'm fine if it's a place that can't be built on, and then we can extrapolate. If it's so many square feet, we can say so many square feet somewhere else, we'll do BX. So I'm fine with that.
True.
Okay, great.
Thank
Is
you.
there anything?
Yeah, I was just going to say, since we've done this at Wiggles Way, we should be able to have some sort of baseline to understand what the costs are. So I don't know if that's factored in as well. Maybe it's the same company that did it, but maybe we can compare those things.
Okay. Are we ready to vote on the contracts?
I think Libby wanted to review one of them.
Oh, I'm sorry, Libby.
Sorry, the one I wanted to review, I did already. That was the MassDOT one.
Oh, you already did?
Okay.
Did
Yeah,
I
sure
miss
did.
that?
So for the record, I'll make a motion that we approve the remainder of the list of contracts.
Okay. Is there a
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That carries unanimously 5-0. Next up, we have Citizen Departmental Committee Requests and Reports. This is for applicants for the committees that we appoint to come and introduce themselves. Erica?
Sure. So what I'm going to do is just read through who the applicants are and see if they are present and wish to speak. Tonight, we invited members in the group A through C. We did open it up to anybody in the other group, F through Z, if they couldn't make it tonight or could make it next week. So we left it a little bit fluid. And I know some people are online. So for Agricultural Commission, 2 seats available, 2 applicants, Kelly Steffen and Benjamin Repper. Not sure if either of them are here. And I don't see them online. Airport Commission, 2 seats available and 2 applicants, Tony Buscarin, who I see, and Scott Wilson. So Tony, why don't you go ahead?
Madam Chair, Tony Buscarin. I've been on the commission, 14 years. I'm a commercially rated pilot, and I was an aviation attorney in New York City for 32 years, retired from both of those things. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is Scott Wilson? Oh, I saw him online, so I'm going to allow him to talk. Scott, do you want to unmute yourself? Good.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Sorry I couldn't be there in person. I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio for a family memorial service. I've been a member of the aviation community since 1985 when I went to work for British Aerospace in Washington, D.C. In 1994, I was recruited by Pratt & Whitney to move to Hartford, Connecticut and take a job with Pratt, which is one of the foremost engine manufacturers in the world. I've got a law degree and a master's in public policy. My volunteer work includes, I'm the co-president of the Nantucket Civic League, which I find both rewarding and challenging. I'm the chair of the Naushop Board of Trustees, which I find challenging and frustrating at times. And I'm also the secretary director of Nantucket Lights, which I've been in that position since it was founded several years ago. I've been doing volunteer work of all types my entire career. Twice I was named a Pro Bono Volunteer of the Year by the Connecticut Pro Bono Partnership, a nonprofit initiative that provides legal support to nonprofit corporations. On my application, I indicated that I have never been to not attended a meeting of the commission, but that's no longer accurate. I did attend the last one. The story is that I was recently prodded into considering making this application by someone who is well known and thought that my experience would be perfect for the commission. So I went ahead and launched my application. As my application shows, my relevant experiences include, which is extensive. I've worked with the FAA. I've sold corporate jets. I've managed the commercial operations of an APU manufacturer. I've worked on airline bankruptcies, and I've been deeply involved in international aviation reform initiatives. Where the FAA is concerned, I've worked with them on a major international convention, and of course, I've worked with the registry, the aviation registry in Oklahoma City, which the FAA operates. Based on my experience, I was greatly, as I said, I was prodded into throwing my hat into the ring for a seat on the commission, and so I did. And I hope I have your support for a seat. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
I should have asked before Tony jetted out. I didn't know if the board had any questions or anything for any of the members after they speak. No, okay. Thank you, Scott.
Thanks. Yep, thank you.
Board of Health, we have 2 seats available and 6 applicants. I'm going to read all the names first, and then I'll invite people up to speak. We have Mary Lepre, Ann Smith, Amy Beaton, Kate Garrett, Ernie Strang, and Kit Murphy. And I will note that Kit has reached out. She's unable to attend tonight, so she'll be on next week. So I believe Mary is in the back. Go on ahead.
Hi, thank you guys. Can you hear me okay? All right. My name is Mary Lepre. I'm here as a private citizen tonight and a nurse practitioner for the past 20 years. The Board of Health has been one of the least controversial boards in town. Most of our work has happened behind the scenes, protecting our community before problems ever become crises. Much of our work is not pestilence, plagues, and disease. It's looking at septic systems and well placements, making sure that we are doing everything possible to protect the health of our community, harbor, ponds, and aquifer. Public health is about recognizing threats before they become emergencies, because when it comes to our water, our environment, or infectious disease, by the time you realize there's a problem, it's often too late. That is why I believe this work matters so deeply, and why I'm here tonight hoping to be reappointed. Over the last 6 years, I've had the privilege of serving the town of Nantucket on the Board of Health. I joined during one of the most challenging moments in modern public health, just after the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. During that time, we learned some important lessons about the importance of communication, preparedness, and leadership in protecting our community. As a school nurse during the pandemic, I worked closely with the health department and the Board of Health to have all the nurses from all 4 public schools designated as agents of the Board of Health. That partnership allowed us to communicate quickly and directly during outbreaks, share accurate information with families, and coordinate responses that kept students and staff safe. It created a bridge between the schools and public health officials that continues to benefit our community today. Public health is not just about emergencies. It is about everyday service to the community. This fall, I volunteered, along with Ann, with the health department to provide free flu and COVID vaccinations for our community. The board or the health department requested it. We are both able to do that, so we were both there. I've also discussed with the public health nurse ways to improve access for vaccines. They were going to buy vaccines because it's sometimes very difficult to get appointments at the hospital for some of our students. For the past 8 years, I've also helped provide free sports clinics every August alongside our school physician. Together, the team from Dr. Lepre's office provides free physicals to as many students need them at no cost to families, ensuring our student athletes can participate in sports and meet state requirements. I also volunteer as the healthcare consultant for many of the camps on island and have had the opportunity to work collaboratively with the health department to ensure that our children have a safe and fun summer. Beyond schools, I've worked in addiction services and previously worked with the Nantucket AIDS Network, experiences that have shown me how important compassion, education, and access to care are for every member of our community.
Environmental health has also been one of my priorities. I wrote a letter at the request of the Board of Health supporting a statewide mandate for PFAS testing in private wells when homes are sold, because clean drinking water is not optional, it is essential. In my opinion, the role of the Board of Health often means asking difficult questions before everyone else sees the danger and making recommendations to prevent injury or insult to our community. The Board of Health is tasked with making difficult decisions based on public health and the precautionary principle, which is that just because it says that it's not dangerous does not mean that something is dangerous, not on popular opinion. In making these decisions, we realize that it is not a popularity contest. It means protecting people, not just today, but for years to come. I care deeply about this town, and I care deeply about keeping our community healthy and safe. I would love to continue my work with the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary. Anne?
Hello, everyone. I'm Ann Smith. For those at the select board who don't know me well, let me just review a little bit of my background. I am an RN, a nurse midwife, and a nurse practitioner who has specialized in all phases of women's health for over 40 years. Most recently, I've concentrated in women's mental health, leading Postpartum Support International, the leading organization in the United States dedicated to helping women and their families struggling with postpartum depression and other perinatal mood and anxiety disorders. I also serve on the board of Fairwinds here on Nantucket. Nantucket has been part of my life since my very first summer. I won't tell you when that was. My grandparents first came here in 1923. My husband's family showed up in the 1950s, and we met on Main Street. Matt Fee had my mother-in-law, Kit Smith, for 5th grade. The Board of Health is a very meaningful appointment since it serves an important role on Nantucket and elsewhere. There's an obligation to protect the public health and safety of all Nantucket's residents, young and old. The Board of Health must evaluate credible public health concerns and questions through a fair public process, always using data-driven and scientific process, and not bowing to popular demands. It can be very difficult. I hope the Select Board recognizes that I have made every effort to do this throughout my past 3 years on the board. I believe I have stayed balanced, calm, non-biased, willing to look on all sides of issues, and when necessary and appropriate, to seek compromise. I respectfully request to be reappointed. I feel I must address 4, and there may be more, allegations and misleading statements that have been circulating widely and repeatedly about the conduct of the Board of Health. The first is that the board has considered an island-wide ban on artificial turf. At no time did the board consider this. We have only been gathering facts, data, and opinions from experts and never discussed this as a board. 2, that the Board of Health has considered and deliberated whether to block the Vito Capiso turf field. There has been no deliberation or discussion about this by the board. 3, that the Board of Health, quote, on 2 separate occasions nearly voted on motions that would have at least temporarily blocked the installation of the field. This is not true. And 4, that I have disregarded the well-being of student athletes by making a comment in an email about not wanting to hear any more anecdotes about injuries incurred on the current field. This has been taken out of context and is not correct. Only the last sentence was reported, and not the first part, which states, quote, I need to understand how each side will obtain unconflicted experts to present evidence-based facts. Anecdotes are not facts. We previously had heard 2 hours of athletes' concerns. We were very concerned about that. Now it was time to gather scientific information. I'm sure you may have some questions for me. I'd be happy to discuss anything further.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is Amy Beaton here? Come on up, Amy.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Amy Beaton. I have been a nurse for 27 years. I have moved to Nantucket 4 years ago, where I served as the emergency room nurse director and now currently the chief nursing officer. I just wanted to say good evening, and I would love to be considered to be part of the Board of Health. Thank you.
Thank you. Is Kate here? Kate, yeah.
Good evening. My name is Kate Garrett, and thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening and to be considered for the Nantucket Board of Health. I have lived here year-round on Nantucket since 2013. I am the mother of 2 young girls growing up here. One is going to start Nantucket High School in the fall. Since 2010, I have worked as a high acuity nurse, beginning in pediatric ICU, and since 2014 in the emergency room here at Nantucket Cottage Hospital. My approach is fact and data driven, rooted in evidence-based science, and centered on balancing compassion with objectivity. Watching the Board of Health navigate COVID really deepened my appreciation for their involvement and also deepened my appreciation for Nantucket's town meeting form of government. I have been attending Board of Health meetings consistently since December. I believe deeply in collaboration, listening to all sides, and the importance of open meeting law to earn and keep the trust of the community. Since 2017, I have been involved in volunteer coaching on a year-round basis, most recently as the head coach of the JV girls soccer team. My family and I are proud sponsors and participants of Swim Across America, and these experiences have only deepened my commitment to this community and every family who calls it home. If appointed, I would bring evidence-based decision-making, transparency, and community-centered leadership to this board, with the health and well-being of Nantucket and its community members always at the forefront. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kate. Ernie?
Hi there, Ernie Strang.
Ernie, just pull that up a little so you can.
Ernie Strang, born on Nantucket, went to high school here. Family's been around here for a minute. I know some of you, I don't know all of you, but went away, got a degree in construction management, minor in finance. Grew up working for the Reese family for 22 years. Bought the company 7 years ago. Been putting septic systems in, been around the island for a long time. I've dug basically every inch of this island. I've put utilities in through the public streets of the island. I understand the well system. I understand Title V. I understand IA systems. I've spent a lot of time working with some of the IA companies. I understand how they got their permits. I've been to Otis. I understand how all of that was adopted and works. I think I have something to give back. I want to give back. So I think I have some to give. I try to be fair. I try to listen to people, and I hope you take me into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ernie. And just a reminder to everybody, next week we're going to have another round, and then appointments are going to be made on June 10th. Cannabis Advisory Board, we have 2 seats available and 1 applicant, who is Joe Plandowski. He is unfortunately unable to attend this week or next, but expressed his interest. Capital Program Committee, just to point this out, there's 2 seats available, and now there are 3 applicants because Mary Longacre has withdrawn her application, which leaves Christy Kickham, Howard Matz, and Barry Rector. I don't see Christie in the audience, and I don't see him online. Howard is here. You just need to go to the other side.
Hi, my name is Howard Matz, and I know many of you know me. I've had the pleasure of working and being on CapCon and working with Jill and Dawn and Brooke, and it's been a really productive committee, and it's a great group of people. I'm also an alternate on the planning board. I have to say that it's been really an excellent experience to work with the other CapCom members who have lots of different types of expertise. And we really do enjoy working with each other, and we complement each other quite well. I have an extensive familiarity with finance, infrastructure projects, construction, and mechanics, and these have all been really good skills applicable to evaluating the various projects that we are being asked to consider and recommend. We do pretty deep digs into the projects, and by doing that, everybody has lots of questions, and these are technical projects and require lots of different types of expertise. However, you all know, and you guys can attest to this, that I know nothing about pickup trucks. So it's not something that I really look at, but Christy does. The real highlight of being on Capcom has been to get the opportunity to meet and work with the different department heads. And we're really, really lucky to have some really competent, committed and department heads who spend a lot of time and are really patient with us in answering our questions, which may be repetitive and maybe extending way beyond the ask, but because we're curious, they help us to understand that. So I look forward to being reappointed to Capcom, and thank you.
Thanks, Howard. And Barry Rector is unable to attend tonight. He'll be here next week.
The only thing I would note, if I recall, I think Christy works on Wednesday nights.
Okay.
So he probably may not be able to do either.
Cemetery Commission, 2 seats available and 2 applicants. Alan Reinhardt, I don't know if Alan is here, and I don't see him online. And Amelia Holmes will be here next week. Coastal Resilient, oh, we have no applicants for CRAC. Concom, we have 2 seats available and 3 applicants. Tim Brain, RJ Turcott, and Benjamin Reppert. I don't know if Tim is here. And I don't see him online. RJ, I don't see him here either or online, and not Benjamin Reppert. Contract Review Committee, 1 seat available and 2 applicants, Linda Williams and Tara Restieri. I see Linda online. I'm going to allow her to speak. Linda, if you want to unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, great. I've been on contract review on and off for probably 25 years. And I really enjoy it. It's human services driven. We work with a lot of the human service providers here. And we have a fantastic, dedicated group of people. And our fearless leader, Veronica, has been absolutely stellar, along with Jericho, and keeping us organized and getting us so our review is fair and based on the applications, as well as giving them all numbers as to what is effective in whatever their area is. I really would love to stay on it. I really enjoy it tremendously, and it's a great group of people. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. And then Tara Restieri.
Hi, Madam Chair, members of the Select Board. My name is Tara Restieri. I've applied to be the member at large, not one of the 2 very currently qualified CHS representatives of the CRC. I've been an active member of the Nantucket Council for Human Services for almost 5 years now. I have more than a decade of volunteer work in human services. I'm a certified EMT, and have been a volunteer and board member for nonprofit organizations for more than 20 years. I've been very deeply involved in the Council for Human Services, including our meetings, and actually having spent numerous weeks, months revising how we currently evaluate our community partners and how they apply for funds and how they look to become members of the Town Human Services Committee. I have also, I'm part of the current Town Human Services Contract Application Committee. I am a part of the Town Needs Assessment Steering Committee, the survey of which I hope each and every one of you have completed. If you have not, you can still do so. I will tell you that we have currently exceeded our completion expectation rate for members of the community, but we would still like to ensure that every voice is heard and is represented as we continue to do the evaluation, conclude that assessment, and have the ability to present our findings to the select board this coming fall. I have sat as a CRC observer and have many years of experience in human services contract review for allocation of town, state, and federal funds, previously in the state of Connecticut, where I used to reside. I believe in being a part of ensuring that the limited public funds that we have and that are recommended to the Finance Committee and the Select Board are allocated thoughtfully, transparently, and thus so having meaningful impact here on the island of Nantucket. I'm very motivated. I have a very strong sense of responsibility and attention to detail, and I hope to be appointed as that member in large. I will tell you, my time on the Council for Human Services has been invaluable. We have an incredible group of people that are so committed to ensuring that the members of our community have what they need, and that we are always trying to do what we can with as little as we are given and support the organizations on the island. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tara. Council for Human Services, 4 seats available and 3 applicants. Kyan Roberts, Jamie Lice, or Lise, and Kelly Steffen. I'm not sure if any of them are. Oh, do you want to come up to the mic? Thank you, Jamie. Okay, sorry.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jamie Lease. I spent most of my life living in New Jersey and working in New York City, but I've always loved Nantucket. After 30 years of renting for a couple of weeks every summer, my husband Mark and I decided to bite the bullet last year and move here. It's easily one of the best decisions we've made, and we're thoroughly enjoying being here. I came to civic service after 29 years of working on Wall Street. When I retired, I was a stay-at-home mom with my youngest child, who was in middle school at the time. Retirement gave me the space to focus on new and interesting things, and I found myself elected to serve on the Somerset Hills Board of Education for 6 years, 3 of which as president. In that capacity, I served on each of the committees and really got to learn and understand a great deal about public education. I found that not having a background in education was actually helpful, as it allowed me to view things with a different lens. Now that we are here, I really want to get involved in the
Can't
community,
have
and have been
a whole
encouraged
bunch
by
of
friends to find
Council on
out
Human Services on the Sierra.
Sorry.
where the openings were, and I found that there were a few spots open on the Council for Human Services. While admittedly I have little experience in the nonprofit arena, I am confident I can apply my existing skill set to help wherever I am needed. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kyan, I'm so sorry. I didn't see you back there. Do you want to come down? And you can just adjust that mic as you need to.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. and thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Kyan Samuel Roberts, and I am applying for a seat on the Council for Human Services. I currently work full-time as a service coordinator at the Nantucket Cottage Hospital Rehabilitation, and I'm pursuing my Master of Social Work degree at Grand Canyon University. During my first internship, I worked in the Social Service Department at Nantucket Cottage Hospital, where I gained experience supporting patients and connecting individuals and family with resources and services. My second internship will be at the Nantucket Family Resource Center, where I will continue building my skills in community support and advocacy. I also volunteer with Palliative and Supportive Care of Nantucket. Through my work, education, volunteer work, and internship, I have developed a strong passion for helping others and supporting the well-being of our community. I would be honored to continue my experience and serve on the Council for Human Services. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then last for tonight is Council on Aging. We have 3 seats available and 2 applicants, Marianne Easley and Kelsey Gray. Not sure if either of them are here. I don't see them online either. So that's it for tonight. Unless is there anyone else here from the other group that was hoping to speak tonight? Not seeing anybody. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks to everyone who's applying, and we will be doing a second round because there's going to be a couple more vacancies. Okay. Next up, we have resignation acceptances for the Council on Aging and the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee is Jill, so her seat will be available.
Council on Aging is
Arlene O'Reilly. So normally we would make a motion to send a letter of thanks.
I'll make a motion to send a letter of thanks to both individuals.
Second.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Carries
As my mother would
unanimously.
say, thank you for thanking me.
Next up, we have the Tree Advisory Committee. This is a request to dedicate the tree at the Nantucket Public Schools property at 10 Surfside Road as the Liberty Tree in connection with the 250th anniversary celebration of the American Revolution.
So we have Mary Longacre online, who's a member of the Tree Advisory Committee to review this, plus
Okay.
Charlie Polacki if there's any other questions.
Mary?
Hi, thank you. So yes, Mary Longacre, member of the Tree Advisory Committee. I was the one who discovered that this is a nationwide effort to recognize liberty trees in each state in the country and spearheaded the program here. The Tree Advisory Committee is very grateful for the support of the school and hopefully for your support today to install a plaque that memorializes the 250th anniversary of the Revolution and dedicates the big elm on Surfside Road near the corner with Sparks Avenue as a liberty tree in recognition of that event. As the letter from Dave Shampoo, the tree warden, said, the Liberty Tree was a famous elm in Boston under which the revolutionary planners gathered, and it was cut down by the British in order to try and squash that effort. So we're commemorating the fact that we were successful 250 years ago. And I can read the text of the plaque that's been proposed if you would like me to do that. That was developed since the letter, but also just an update on the project. They have increased from 31 to 37 participating states, and I hope that we will be part of that effort.
Do you want to read the language from the plaque?
Yeah. So the plaque would be titled Liberty Tree and dedicated on this date, July 4th, 2026, the town of Nantucket, in commemoration of the nation's 250th anniversary of independence, hereby designated this American elm planted in 1852 a liberty tree. And it would close with a quote from the Declaration of Independence, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And in addition, there'd be a QR code leading to, I imagine, the Tree Advisory Committee website or another site on the town's website that would have more information.
Okay.
And I don't know if Charlie has any details he wants to add.
I'll make the motion to adopt the tree with a comment that this is the tree across from Vestal. Vesper, I mean, sorry. This is the perfect
this
tree
from
to
my house.
be designed for this because this tree is just like our country. It's beaten and battered, but it's still standing. I was standing there the other morning and a box truck whacked the crap out of it and it's still there. So, you know, it's the perfect tree for this.
Thank you, Bobby.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, thank you. Have we settled on when? It says on or near July 4th.
So we're trying to coordinate with the school to see if they want it during the school year and with the select board to see when your availability might be. We needed to wait until you had the new select board members, but that is definitely the next question to approach.
Okay, well, I'll take the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
That carries unanimously 5-0. If they want to do it during the school year, great, but I would just request with all of the other planning that's already scheduled on July 4th that you consider, if you're doing it near July 4th, that you do it on the 3rd, maybe?
I completely understand. That's why we didn't go for the 4th immediately.
And then like for the town manager, it'll be on a work day.
Right.
Being a Saturday. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Next up, we have a request for a waiver of the town noise bylaw to accommodate multiple concrete deliveries at 100 Wauwinet Road on Saturday, May 30th from 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. Actually, delivery time will go until 5 p.m.
So I drafted an AIS, which is in your packets. Pat Levesque is, or what, yep, he is online to answer any questions. He is the contractor for the project. And that's all I've got.
Brooke?
I'm just wondering why go earlier in the day rather than later in the day? 4 a.m. is pretty disruptive.
Yep. So thank you, members of the board. So we're doing this on a Saturday. We're trying to take advantage of the less traffic, you know, on a weekend. And the earlier in the day is to take advantage again of that traffic. We have to go, the concrete plant is at Toscana, which is over by the airport. So it's a long trip, as we know. And just again, taking advantage of that less traffic at that time. It's going to be a number of trucks, so it's going to go on for quite a bit of time. I've spoken to both of the neighbors, both at 98 and 102, and they are well aware of it, and they both gave us their blessings. So hoping that we can get your approval as well.
If there's no, I would make a motion to approve this, even with a stipulation, Pat, that if something unforeseen happened and you had to go past 5 o'clock, that you could continue your pour because, you know, this is a continuous pour, I'm assuming, and once you start it, you need to do it all at once. You can't stop and do the rest of it the next day. So if something happened with the plant and it had to be down for whatever, a half hour, an hour, you know, hopefully you can get it done before then, but.
Can I just make a quick note?
Yeah, Erica.
So the noise bylaw really is the morning portion, the 4 to 7 a.m. And they can pour till 10 o'clock at night if they wanted to in that location without an additional waiver. Pat, the one thing that came up today was that Saturday could be rainy. I don't know.
That is a possibility, and if that happens, if it's a drizzle, it's not a problem. If it's a downpour, it's a problem, and then we're going to have to reevaluate.
Well, I was wondering, is there a rain date that you're looking at right now that we could possibly include in this?
It would probably be the following Saturday. We don't want to do it
So
on
that
a,
would
there's
be
no,
June 6th.
yes.
So can we amend
I would
the
amend my motion to give them the rain date of the following Saturday, June 6th.
Great.
I'll second.
Yeah, and just make sure that the neighbors would be notified.
Yes.
My question, this is is this a huge foundation? Is that why this is so impactful?
It's a mono slab, and so there's a perched water table there. There's a lot of clay, and it's just an engineered, so it's thick.
It's the
Okay.
walls and the floor all at once.
All at once, yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That carries unanimously 5-0.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have the town manager's report. Libby, do you want to do the introduction?
Sure, thank you. So several years ago, there were some changes to state law regarding the open meeting law and public records. As a result of that, we established a position of open meeting law compliance and records access officer. We funded that position. We filled that position. However, it quickly became consumed by public records requests most exclusively. And those have only become more frequent and complex. So we still have open meeting law issues and committee operational issues that have remained unaddressed because of time constraints and resource availability. We were able to secure funding in the current fiscal year for a committee compliance coordinator. We filled it last fall with Deborah Gudemond. Deb is here, and she is going to review a presentation that's in your packet of what she has been working on most recently. Deb?
Thanks, Libby. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the Select Board. My name is Deb Gudemond, and I am the new Committee Operations Coordinator for the town of Nantucket. Past that. Tonight, I'd like to give you a brief update on some of the work I've been doing during my first 6 months with the town, and specifically we'll look at conflict of interest law training, why it's important and the progress we've made in ensuring compliance, open meeting law requirements, and how we intend to move forward with assisting committees. And lastly, committee audits and reviews and how we see this working to hopefully catch most potential issues early on. So for conflict of interest law, Massachusetts General Law Section 268 says all members of Nantucket committees must complete the online training within 30 days of their appointment or election to a position on a committee. The full training must be completed every 2 years, with the shorter acknowledgement being completed annually. We know that many people find the training inconvenient and tiresome because all they really want to do is support the community by serving Nantucket. But it is important because it establishes clear standards that help Nantucket committee members recognize and avoid situations where personal interests could improperly influence official responsibilities. Committee members gain a stronger understanding of how to identify potential conflicts, disclose them appropriately before they become a potential violation, and ensure that decisions are made solely in the public's best interests. This is not simply a procedural formality. Compliance with this protects Nantucket, the committees, and the individual members, and it reduces the risk of unintentional violations and reinforces a shared commitment to ethical conduct. Completing the training demonstrates to the people of Nantucket that our committee members take their responsibilities seriously and are dedicated to operating with integrity and fairness. It might not seem that important, but the State Ethics Commission can request civil penalties of up to $10,000 against committee members that do not complete the training. And this fine is levied against the individual committee members, not the town. It is considered to be a personal responsibility. Because of this, it's important to understand the basics, know when to disclose, when to file disclosures prior to a meeting. And if you're not sure, you can contact our office or the State Ethics Commission attorneys, and they will advise you. Please remember that non-financial appearances of conflict of interest also need to be considered because we want the residents of Nantucket to see accountability and transparency in our committees. Tackling conflict of interest law compliance was one of the first tasks I undertook. Nantucket has 40 committees with approximately 200 volunteers at any given time. In November last year, we started looking at the Skills Burst platform that's run by the State Ethics Commission, and the town of Nantucket had an 18% compliance rate. So we created our own spreadsheet. I began emailing all the committee members, reminding them of the requirements that this training had to be completed. Town administration is well aware that the committees are the lifeblood of Nantucket. We appreciate all they do and the time and commitment they show to Nantucket and the community in general. Because of this, I did not want technology to present a barrier to some committee members by fulfilling their training obligations, and this response was generally positive because if a committee member was unsure, I had them come into town offices. We assisted them in creating accounts, logging in, and completing the process. As of today, our compliance rate is 98.5%, and I'm very proud of that 0.5. We worked hard for it. I monitor all training and completion certificates. When certificates expire, we contact the committee members with reminders that it's once again time to do some training. The tracker is updated weekly, so we always know exactly where we stand. And after 6 months of doing this, I'm quite sure there are a few people who are heartily sick and tired of seeing my name in their inbox. Open meeting law compliance has many moving parts, and with 40 committees, it's not easy to get all of them prior to a scheduled meeting, or even to know what might transpire during a meeting. In general terms, we started looking at the agendas and the minutes to see that they're as accurate as possible and providing advice on how to fine-tune this, both in ways that complies with open meeting law requirements and also allows for easier public record searches. Some of the recent open meeting law complaints have highlighted that this is something we should look at. The Division of Open Government does not have the same monitoring system as the State Ethics Commission, but it does offer monthly webinars, and we highly recommend that our committee members register for one of these training sessions. However, because town administration wants as many committee members as possible to understand open meeting law and the essentials of it, we'll be offering in-person training on September 24th and 25th in this room. The training will be done by KP Law, and there'll be 3 sessions over 2 days with morning, afternoon, and evening sessions, so committee members can attend based on their personal schedules. When the new committee members are announced in June, more information will be emailed to them because we want to give as many people as possible an opportunity to attend the training. The last thing is the committee audits. I've just finished designing and modifying a committee governance audit protocol. It's been designed to align our committees with open meeting law and conflict of interest requirements and to support strong operational practices. By regularly reviewing committee operations, my intention is that problems can be identified before they become violations, helping the town to avoid fines, lawsuits, and reputational damage, as well as maintaining good standing with the Attorney General's Office and the State Ethics Commission. I identified a test committee based on the diversity of its members, as well as different technological comfort levels and its limited staff assistance. I then looked at notice and posting compliance, agenda specificity, quorum and voting practices, public participation, minutes, and record keeping, and noted those procedures. Eventually, I aimed to visit each committee twice in person and view 2 recorded meetings to get an idea of how they function. The idea is to have structured feedback that is not a one-time effort, but an ongoing process. Ideally, I would review committees every 2 years. However, committees with significant staff assistance can pivot and adapt, while committees with limited or no staff assistance may need additional help and earlier. So far, I've developed the training trackers, and I'm in the process of developing a new policy to communicate the review. The process needs to be refined before we roll out formally, but my intention is to create a review that assists committees by providing suggestions on how to streamline and improve their meetings. I want to stress that this is not a performance review of committee members. It is a governance compliance review designed to ensure a reasonably consistent adherence to open meeting law and conflict of interest requirements, to encourage transparency and foster public trust. We know how much time and effort our committee members put into their work on these committees. The intention behind this concept is a cohesive approach which will protect our volunteer members and strengthen public confidence in the town. Thank you for your time.
Does anybody have any questions?
I have a comment. To go from 18% to 98% compliance is amazing. And at one point, I thought I wanted to see on the application list that we get for incumbents whether or not they're they have all their updated stuff done, but I don't think we have to worry about that because you did it. So thank you.
And I will continue to complain and bug people's
She's like a
inboxes.
I have a question, but do we track who has signed the code of conduct? Is that still a requirement?
It is a requirement, and yes, I am tracking it. So
Okay.
as soon as people come in with their paperwork, it is scanned, filed, both hard copy and on the computer. So yes, we
Great.
are tracking it.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Deb. We really appreciate that. And we can attest to Deb doing a lot of work on this. A couple weeks ago, I think it was Mr. Fee requested a update report plan for summer traffic, including parking and e-bikes, and the chief is here to provide that.
Good evening. Thank you, Libby. I was asked to present on parking e-bikes and traffic enforcement as we head into the summer season. I don't have too many slides here. You probably have them in front of you as well in your packet. But essentially, I divided each section into a little bit of data so you can see what we've been up to and then what we're up to now. So here's our parking enforcement data. The total numbers are on the bottom there. I included FY25 so you can see what we do in a year. So we put just under 15,000 parking tickets were issued in fiscal year 25. In fiscal year 26, I pulled the data on May 7th when I was asked to do this. So we don't have the remaining 7 weeks, including June, which is a busy month for parking tickets. I often hear questions about whether or not we write people who are in loading zones or if we're catching accessibility spaces or yellow lines. So I pulled out some of that so you could see that indeed those are areas that we target as well as overnight parking. We sometimes get questions on whether or not we're enforcing year round in municipal lots overnight or in the summer months in the overnight, and we are. So that number I expect to go up probably another 1,500 for FY26. What are we doing right now? That is a picture of our last year's CSO cohort that came in, and they are returning this weekend. So they will be here. They will be writing lots and lots of parking tickets. They have jobs that, of course, extend far beyond parking tickets, but parking is one of their top priorities. They also handle calls. They do lots of different things all over the island that you're all well aware of, but I included them in here specific for what they contribute to our parking enforcement efforts. So in addition to our CSOs coming here, which they'll be arriving this weekend, and then they'll be in a week of training, then they'll be out and about on the street. We also have a newer downtown resource officer. The officer herself is not new, but returning the position into town is newer. We have enough staffing to do that this year, and we were able to do that. For those of you who know Jerry Back, he was in this position before, did an exceptional job working in the position year round. The person's job is certainly not specific to parking, but it is a part of their job. So our officer Rachel Lester, will be working and is now working in the downtown area and is already dealing with some of the things that town brings. But specific to parking, loading zones, double parking, we've heard a lot about a particular restaurant that has a double parking problem, and we're all over that. So we're well aware of where the problem areas are, and that's where we're directing our resources. Also, one of our challenge areas is the 2 fairgrounds lot. We talked about it a lot in here with Mike Burns and all sorts of different concepts with 2FG and what we should do with it and how it should, what kind of lot that should be. And right now it's a lot that we have a problem with trailers, with oversized vehicles, time exceedance over the 96 hours. So do we write tickets in there? We absolutely do. 319 violations this fiscal year so far, and certainly I expect to see more in there. So that is a target area for us where when our CSOs come on, one of the CSOs is specifically tasked with going into that lot every day. In addition, I would just add on that we have a lot of construction and work going on now, lots of preparing for people to arrive. So there's a lot of vehicles that are illegally parking on the sides of the road. You may have noticed a big construction project on Nantucket Road. Bartlett, Cliff has a lot of activity, and we've been doing a lot of enforcement in those areas as well. Lovers Lane, which is a no parking zone on both sides now that it's been repaved. We have a lot of construction vehicles there. I know you've talked at former select board meetings about the damage that the vehicles do on the side of the road. I don't know if people really understand that's why we care if vehicles are parked there, because they degrade the roadway and then ultimately result in new paving projects that Drew has to deal with. So we've been doing a lot focused on that as well. Any questions on parking? Yes.
How are you addressing parking on sidewalks? If people are parking in blocking sidewalks, or if they are, if they're blocking sidewalks, or they're blocking sidewalks, they don't even have to. Like there's some roads that are pretty wide and people still park right on top of it. What are you guys thinking about that at this point?
Yeah, I would say it's tricky here because we have a culture of allowing this years-long allowance of letting people park on sidewalks. So if we were going to make a dramatic change and start doing enforcement and say, you got to get back out onto the road, Cliff Road is a great example. I would want to broadcast that out to the community and alert everyone and say, hey, we're going to be making a change here and we're going to start enforcing people who are parking midway on the sidewalk. That's not something that we're focused on now. If in like downtown, somebody was parked completely blocking a sidewalk, and certainly we've written those tickets before. But in some of the other areas where people routinely park on the sidewalk, we haven't made any changes there.
All right.
Yep.
Yep. I think that Amy Eldridge has a question on parking behind you.
Great. Hi, Amy Eldridge. I had a couple quick questions about the state regulations on handicap parking. Downtown, I know that they're houred for 2 hours, but I've seen people parked that work downtown in handicap spots with the placard like for 8 or 9 hours, especially around the pharmacy area. Like my mom walks with 2 canes. It's really hard to use the 15-minute spot in front of Nantucket Pharmacy, so she has to park alongside Congdon and Coleman and then walk down because of the asphalt versus the cobblestones and the canes. And I just wonder, because I see cars with handicap placards parked there like all day, all summer with no tickets. And then what is the state law on fire lanes and handicap parking in private lots?
Through you, Madam Chair. So if you have a disability placard, the time limits don't apply to you. So anyone with a disability placard can park in a 15-minute spot and park for a longer amount of time. That's the state law, and that's not anything that we can enforce. As far as fire lanes, if there are people parked in fire lanes, everyone should always call us when they see that. It's one of the things that's kind of tricky is sometimes we get a phone call later on. We're like, oh, I saw this, earlier today. All I can say is if you see a roadway being blocked, particularly in a fire lane, call us right away and we can have an officer go out and take a look and see if there's a fire lane being blocked. And then disability spaces that are in private lots, we do enforce disability spaces in private lots. So again, if there's a violation of that, we just need to be made aware, and then we would go out and be able to issue violations for that as well. Any other parking questions?
Bobby?
So Chief, I've gotten, since I'm the new guy and one of the new members of the board, I've gotten a couple emails and texts about what Matt sort of alluded to, like Cliff Road, for example, all the construction vehicles parked on the sidewalk. Down is beach, the parking lot's full of construction vehicles. I mean, I guess I'm just going to tell them to call the station and have somebody come. But I drove Cliff, I haven't been to Downers, but I drove Cliff Road yesterday morning coming back from the dump, and there's just 20 cars on the sidewalk. 15 of them are construction trucks on that job site there. But the problem is it is a one-way, it's a two-way road that becomes one way. If a big truck's coming the other way, somebody's going up on the other sidewalk. There's no way around. I know it's a tough thing to enforce, but I don't know. I'm glad I don't have to deal with it. It's your problem, not mine, but.
Thank you for that. Yes.
There's a lot of construction going on in that one little section of that road, and there's a lot of trucks there, so.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Cliff is a challenge area, and some of the residential side streets off there. Honestly, anywhere there's construction projects going on, we run into this ongoing problem where we're kind of chasing all over the island, new complaints. And what I would say is there, of course, on Cliff Road, there are areas where you can legally park on the right-hand side where the yellow line is spaced. But if they're parked on a yellow line or parked in a way that's dangerous, anyone can always call us and we'll go check it out and issue the ticket if it's appropriate. And yes, if we see construction vehicles, if anyone sees construction vehicles that are parked illegally, just call us and we'll come over and take a look. Yep.
Yeah,
one more.
oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead,
Yeah,
Matt. But
my point, Bobby, is what's happening is the cars are getting bigger and bigger, and the rules that we put in place 15, 20 years ago, there were three roads, traffic safety went out and measured all the streets, and there were three roads where you had to park one tire up, and you had to allow a baby carriage to go by between the tire and and it was, the three roads were like Academy Lane and sort of over by Sheila's shop off of Orange Street. And all the rest, there was no parking on the sidewalks. And what's happened over the last 15 years, cars have gotten bigger and we haven't enforced as a community. And now they think that they can park everywhere. And I have some concern that eventually there'll be a, sort of a handicap issue or accessibility issue, and the town is going to be scrambling, trying to do this. And so I kind of think that we need to, and we're not going to do it tonight, but I would like to see us think about, marking the spaces to fit what a car that can fit, and find a way to delineate where, how wide a car can be, and people should be fitting their vehicles to our, historic built environment, not the other way around. And that's just, that's sort of my position on it has been for 20 years, and I'm going to keep at it. So it feels like I've been losing the battle, but I'm going to keep at it.
Matt Peel online.
Hi, thank you. Appreciate you guys talking about this tonight. I'm sure most of you guys know, I also manage the FedEx on Island. And I've had my drivers get very concerned with the lack of enforcement lately on loading zones downtown. And I guess the latest kind of, I guess, I don't even know what to call it, but we have store owners that are pulling up in these loading zones and leaving their cars, for 30, 45 minutes with their flashers on until they can find a parking spot downtown. If there is no parking, and they're taking up these loading zones, and FedEx, UPS, we're delivering 100 to 75 boxes per store sometimes downtown, especially this time early season when all these places are opening up, and my guys are just not finding, every load zone is full. And then and upwards of an hour before the load zone opens, like the one on Main Street around 11 o'clock, I believe that turns over to regular parking. You'll see people there at 10:30, 10:20, or even 10 o'clock starting to park there and take up that load zone. And so I just really, I know it's early. I know the community service officers are still coming on and stuff, but I hope that can be a main focus, is really getting these load zones, because we want to get downtown. We want our guys to get in and out of there as safely and easily as possible and get these stores their packages. Thank you.
Thank you. And hopefully with the dedicated officer downtown. But we are unfortunately going to have likely more parking pressure this summer because the Valley lot is not coming back this year. So be
Agreed.
aware.
Yep.
One other parking question. At one point, there was the town was planning to charge for this lot here. I know that had been started. And do we know the status of that?
I think it's a question for Mike Burns. I know it's
Okay.
something that's been on his radar, and it's something that we've discussed in traffic working group, but we haven't discussed it lately. So that would be a good question for him.
Okay.
He'd be able to give you a status on it.
Yeah, I mean, we can't park for free in Hyannis. We can't park for free. We can't leave our cars and, for days on end over there. I think we've got to start sort of thinking about it. Free parking isn't free. So we have to start thinking about it somehow.
E-bikes.
Okay.
Next favorite topic.
Okay. E-bikes. So e-bikes are certainly growing in use. We've all seen them around the island. I came to you in the fall and I talked to you a little bit about our initiative then. Where we are right now is we've had about 70 e-bike motorized device encounters since October, which is when we started that initiative. So we've had a lot of encounters with kids and adults on different modes of electric transportation. 26 of those were just over the month of April. So obviously during the winter season, there were a lot less. It was a little snowy out here. I think we remember a lot less bikes. So we've picked right back up where we left off in October. And I just remind members of the board that it is just very tricky to stop people on these motorized devices and the electric devices when they're on the path. I put on here focus on safety during stops because I also see violations. I know that you and members of the community continue to see violations of people on things they shouldn't be on without helmets, whatever it may be. It's just very tricky to stop them in a safe way. And we've really emphasized with our officers to focus on safety when you're doing stops. So sometimes we may see a violation and just not be able to make the stop in a safe way. Our priority is always going to be safety over trying to cut through traffic or trying to chase down someone that's on something and we can't get to them in a safe way. So lots of stops. We have seen a dramatically noticeable change on the school campuses, particularly. We have a great partnership with the schools. I'll talk a little bit about that, but they really have worked with us as strong partners in approaching this problem, and we've seen a big decrease around there. The decrease that I've noticed are much less I haven't seen double riders as much, which was a big problem in the summer and fall. I see less young kids on things that are going really fast. I see more helmets. In general, we're just seeing more compliance. It does not mean that we are not seeing violations. Certainly, there are still people operating in violation of many of the laws that apply to all these different devices. But we're feeling better about where we were compared to the fall. In the week leading up to our enforcement initiative in the fall, we had three kids that were involved in accidents with e-bikes and cars just in the week beforehand. So I really viewed it, and I shared with you then, as just a really significant public safety issue. I expect to see more collisions over the summertime. Like we can enforce, but people need to comply, and families need to be informed about what they're putting their young people on, and they need to be helmeted, and all the things need to be occurring together. Enforcement and education is one piece of the solution, but we need people to be really, really mindful of what they're on. One change that has been nice is that an officer just shared the other day that he was just parked somewhere and someone on an e-bike or whatever it was came up and said, "Can you tell me what I'm on? What is this? Is it legal? Am I kind of doing it right?" So it seems like we're getting the messaging out there that you need to be thoughtful when you're buying these things and understand that different laws may apply to what you're on. Erica, my clicker no longer works. Thank you. So for recent activities, I shared with you in the fall what we're doing. So we've trained all of our officers. We've done that targeted traffic enforcement, a lot of fixed posts, meaning we're going to areas where people are naturally stopping, so we're not chasing them, and having conversations, talking with a lot of parents and kids. We also did a social media campaign. Hopefully you saw some of that messaging. Erica, the next 3 slides are some of those, I think. Yep. We're just trying to educate people on the basics here. So we're on the path, 20 miles per hour. That was passed at town meeting last year. And now we see it in the proposed legislation in Boston. So that's great. We have a 20-mile-per-hour max on our path. Next slide, please. And then we also want people to understand that if you're on something that goes over 20 miles an hour, you're not on an e-bike per the current definition under Mass General Law. That may change with the new Mobility Act, with the new bike laws. But for now, you're not on an e-bike, and you need to have a license if you're on those things. Next slide, Erica. Thank you. These are just all the basics. I routinely see people, not wearing helmets. Is mostly adults. I see a lot of adults that don't wear helmets. I see a lot of helmets in baskets, helmets hanging from handlebars. Helmets don't work hanging from handlebars. The speed, getting people to ride alone, that was an ongoing problem that we were having. Getting people to walk their bikes on sidewalks. E-bikes can never be on a sidewalk. In the downtown area, regular bikes can't be on sidewalks, yes. Walking, yes, I'm sorry. Just riding. Sorry. No, that's good. No bikes anywhere. No, you absolutely can walk your bike on the sidewalk. And then, of course, lights on at night as well. You need a front light and you need a rear brake light. So we're trying to share that information with the public. Next slide. So that was our campaign that we put out. We had some other slides as well, but I thought those hit the main points. I mentioned our partnership with the schools. They've really been great. Those are our 2 school resource officers there. People may or may not know that the school has students register their bikes with the schools. And when you go to register, before you get your little sticker, you have to complete an educational class with our SROs. So they do 6 to 10 of these classes per year, and they focus on safety and the laws. So that has been very successful. They continue to have them throughout the year as new kids register bikes. I also thought the numbers were kind of interesting. Middle school, they have about 40 registered bikes and 70 registered in the high school. So it's a good amount of bikes that are coming in and out of school. And I just remind everyone that, like, we're not trying to eliminate bicycles or e-bikes. They're an important part of our transportation infrastructure. I think we all agree. Cars are difficult. Big cars are difficult. A lot of cars are difficult. So bikes are great, and people are using them to get around instead of having cars, which we certainly support. We're just trying to get compliance with the law. Next slide, please. The Ride Safe Act, we heard this mentioned at town meeting, recently filed. There's some, I won't go through this, in great detail. You have it, but in short, there's some really good changes in there that would base enforcement actions on, or base what speed you're going on, how we classify a bike, because it's just gotten too hard with how many wheels it has or what kind of motor you have, if it's electric, if it's gas. At the end of the day, if you're on something that goes really fast, it's not a bike, and it should be classified a different way. And that's the way the Ride Safe Act looks at it. Their next step is a hearing, which is actually tomorrow. So we're looking forward to this moving along, and it will give us additional, I think, provide clarity for the community and give us additional enforcement options when we're out there working. Any questions on e-bikes? Yep.
Just a comment, it seems like the e-bike campaign, I know I've felt it, and I've got my own bike, so I feel like it's filtered everywhere, and I just want to commend you for that, because I think you probably met a lot of people over the last 8 months, and encountered a lot more people and heard from them, and I think it's great. I think it's just great for exposure for the department to be like in the community and not in a hostile way, right?
Yeah.
Just to talk about like, hey, we want to make you legal to ride this bike. I think it's great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Matt?
Yes.
Will the CSOs be doing some of the friendly stops? Will they be posted at certain places?
Probably not. It gets into a little bit of a sticky area where we're having our community service officers who are non-sworn and don't have some enforcement authority. If we're asking them to basically enforce Mass General law, we have to be very careful with that. I wouldn't want to put them in a situation where they kind of get involved in a conflict and they're dealing with Mass General law. It's a little tricky. Not to say that they can't be educated and do friendly education if they see something, but likely not doing any sort of stops or fixed posts.
My other question was, the scooters, the blades, the
Yep.
two tiny wheels.
Mm-hmm.
I had 2, and I don't know if Bobby and Jill know this, but I had 3 or 4 students that worked for me last summer that were severely injured. 2 were flown off, head injury, shoulder. Another one had a face, lost 6 weeks of work. These are summer students. And what I found out, the worst things were those blade scooters, because they have these little wheels and they hit a piece of sand or they hit a little bit and you're right over. And you're on that, and it's like one of the Bulgarian guys called it like a carrot. He feels like he's a carrot on top of this thing. You come right over. And so I will not hire anyone that's going to have those this summer. They're not allowed at our employee housing. No scooters, because it was so dangerous. So I'm just wondering,
Yeah.
is there any particular thing we need to do with those, or do they have to have helmets?
They
et
do have to
cetera?
have helmets. So that's
Okay.
what's been kind of interesting is the existing law. It's hard to catch the one wheels. You've probably seen people wheeling around on that
Yeah.
with a coffee. Impressive. But on a phone, the coffee on a one wheel, it's a lot, right? And those are out there, but how do you cover those in the law? Like what are those under? So the new Mobility Act will help to cover some of these different devices that may not naturally fall into the current classes. It'll be just really based on speed. How fast does it go? And that will be more helpful for us to deal with new and emerging technologies like those, or really, really fast scooters.
Yeah. And some of the scooter things fly. I mean, it's not, they're electric, but they can move.
Yeah, indeed. There are some that go up to 40, 45 miles an hour, and a lot of things, they're advertised one way, but then they can be modified after their purchase, so.
And I had one coming towards me on the sidewalk when I pulled him out of my driveway on the way here. Amy?
I want to thank the police department for their efforts to take care of this and get the kids educated and even the young adults. And I really want to thank Dispatcher Bennett. I called in about 2 weeks ago because I was driving down Milestone Road at 45 miles an hour and was passed by an motorcycle, I believe, on the bike path, having to been doing about 55. And there was no way the police were ever going to get out in time to find him, and he ducked across and up Pulpus Road. So I have no idea. There's no identifying markers on this black bike, but I was shocked to be driving into town and then phew, being passed by an motorcycle on the bike path. So I do appreciate the effort that the police department has put in to save these children's lives as well. But it's kind of scary. And I wonder about Milestone Road as a state highway with minimum speeds. I technically have a class 3 e-bike that I might ride like 4 or 5 times a year. I don't go 28 miles an hour. I don't use the throttle. I use the pedal assist. So I am on the bike path, but I think legally I might be illegal on the bike path. But with the minimum standards for the state highway, trying to ride my bike to work, which I've done once or twice over the past couple summers, it's very difficult to know if I'm supposed to be on the road at 28 miles an hour or less, or if the bike path is the safer alternative on the state highway. Thank you.
Kate?
Yeah, thank you. Kate Garrett again. I just want to kind of piggyback what Jill was saying and Amy. This campaign I took notice of it when the school committee put it on one of their agendas over the summer. And I was so grateful for that. You know, the stat girl coming out again, but unintentional injuries are the #1 cause of death for kids 11 to 18. And so as a parent and a nurse, I was concerned about it. And I just want to say the collaboration between the police department and the school and the town, I think it's been awesome. I loved also reading in the newspaper today that, you know, they pulled aside a 10-year-old not to be punitive, not to lecture them, but to say, hey, like, this is what's safe and this is what's not, and this is why we care. Because I think when kids show that, or when adults show kids that we care, it comes across much more clear to them and not like they're doing something wrong. So I just think it's been a great campaign. I really, really think this is something that's important for the community based on the evidence and the stats. So thank you. And I also want to say, in addition to that, I've seen police pull over minors on Old South and they're outside of their vehicles talking to the kids, not just, you know, they're not lecturing them, they're having cordial conversations. So it's been really great to see.
Okay, thank you.
Oh,
Okay.
did you want to answer Amy's question?
Sure. Yes,
No.
through you.
Sorry.
So what we're telling most people, because we are, with these laws, we really are trying to put a square peg in a round hole. It's very tricky to apply all the unique devices like the one you speak about, Matt, into the current Mass General Law. At the end of the day, what we're seeing with the proposed legislation is a focus on speed. So there are some people who own devices that, like perhaps Amy, if you have a class 3 that can go up to 28. And what we've said is you can operate it on the path if you're not going over 20. And that's been our best advice. We're just trying to focus on safety here. We can't have people going 30 or 20 miles an hour on the path. We've seen it. It's very dangerous. But if you have a class 3 that you're operating basically as a class 2, then and that's the advice that we've given our officers as well. Just it's tricky to do this enforcement with the laws that we're working with and with the unique devices that are out there. But at the end of the day, you know, I wouldn't want someone pushed out into the roadway on basically a bicycle where they could be operating more safely on the path. Yeah. Any other questions on e-bikes or any e-devices? Okay. Quick bit on traffic enforcement, our final category. Again, I've added some fiscal years on there so you can take a look at what we have been up to. Officers have been incredibly busy with motor vehicle stops. If you drive around the island or bike or walk, you probably see officers on car stops. I divided out the OUI arrests on the bottom. OUI is operating under the influence, usually of alcohol, sometimes of drugs. You can see the numbers there as well. we're just starting to see the numbers tick up for this year in 2026 for OUIs. We had a couple over the weekend. We've had 14 so far this year and 8 in May alone. So of course, May, June, July are our busiest months with impaired operators being identified and arrested. So that is an area of focus for us, certainly high risk on the roadway to themselves and others. That's our data. And then, yep.
Through the chair, what is the situation with impairment with cannabis? Like, just help me understand. The last thing I heard was there's no real way to test in the field whether someone's under the influence. If you have a quick update.
Sure. Quick, easy update. If you have alcohol in your system, the state has established that if you have 0.08, then you're impaired and right. So that's a measurable amount and we know how to test for it. We have a testing mechanism and we have a very clear number of what we use to work with to determine impairment. The problem with cannabis is that we don't have either one of those. We don't really have what is a clear level in a system and how do we best measure that roadside. There's some interesting research out there on like spit tests and swab tests that are measuring. And so that same measurement device, there is no equivalent right now for cannabis. But what we do is if we have someone who we can still tell that they're operating impaired, perhaps they're moving across the roadway or they're doing something that is drawing attention, an officer makes a stop, an officer conducts sobriety tests and can see that they're impaired. They do not pass field sobriety tests and they show signs of impairment. They don't have alcohol on board or there's no odor of alcohol. Maybe they've acknowledged that they've used different drugs. They can still be arrested and charged with OUI drugs. It is much harder to prove. So if a case like that goes to court, it can be hard to prove. So that's the challenge that we have. And we see very few OUI drug cases coming through our police department. I read every single, OUI report that we have and I track that data and it's just very rare that we're seeing an arrest for that or seeing charges for it.
If I may. However, if someone is visibly impaired, you have the ability to get them off the street, right? By making the arrest, even if it doesn't result in a prosecution. I'm just thinking in the moment for safety, making sure that impaired person isn't getting back behind the wheel.
Oh, without a doubt. We would never let someone that we were very concerned about driving get back behind the wheel. And so we can make the arrest for OUI drugs. It's just proving it later on in court can be challenging, but it doesn't mean we don't do that. And our officer can't testify to what they observed for impairment in the roadside testing, any other observations that they had. It's just more challenging. That's all. Any other questions on that? Jill?
Yes, I mean, are they working on a test to be used for law enforcement? Because I thought I read that they were.
They are. They're working on mouth swabs, right? And there's a variety of different research being done on this. I've seen some pilot programs in other states where they're trying things, but nothing that has been universally accepted yet and that has been embraced by Mass General Law and setting what the standard would be for us. Because even if we had the test, we would still have to establish here in Massachusetts what level would qualify as impairment.
Would they let us join a focus group to like try it out to see if it worked?
There are formal tests going on in particular communities across the country, but not here.
Thank you.
Yep. A lot of times what we may run into too is we have multiple substances on board. So we may have alcohol and drug impairment combined, but when we have alcohol, it's such a clearer standard to meet that we're able to meet the impairment standard there. Even if we may have existing drugs also in the system, they don't get charged with the drugs because we have the alcohol as the standard that we can meet. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay. Any other questions on traffic enforcement? Okay. So what have we been up to lately? I introduced to you in October of 24 our targeted traffic enforcement program, and we're continuing to do that. You can see the number on there that in calendar year 25, our officers conducted almost 7,400 enforcement details using this model. So if you'll recall, this model is using existing traffic speed data that we get in partnership with Mike Burns in Plus, who collects the data using those devices that you may have noticed on the sides of different roads with little solar panels that are just measuring traffic volume and speed. So if we know we have problem areas, then we park our officers there and they stop cars. it's not a secret, and we'd prefer if people didn't speed. So where we park and pull people over all the time is Nantucket, Vesper, and the Boulevard, and soon to be Lovers. So we're not we don't want to catch people speeding. We would like people to stop speeding. And those are our problem areas right now where data is showing that people are consistently going enough over the speed limit that it is drawing our attention to that area. So you will continue to see officers parked in those areas and doing stops. We have also trained a new crash investigator, reconstructionist. Officer Andrew McNeely did very substantial, it's hard to explain the depth of this class. You have to love math and learning about physics and car crashes and all the things that contribute. So he did 280 hours of classroom training on that. And he also was certified as a child passenger seat technician. So we're really pleased to have him as a specialist on the island. We have one other. And if you don't have this kind of specialist here, when you have a significant accident, you have to call in resources from off island. And what can happen is the scene that used to exist is modified over time, either by weather or a need to remove a car from a roadway. So when we have a specialist here, they can just respond to the scene and really do a more thorough investigation. And then we continue to focus on OUI enforcement, as I mentioned, and we are putting together an application for the municipal roadway safety grant, which would provide overtime dollars for officers really in our off season to target some of our most significant issues, which are speed and hands-free operation and cell phone use and OUI and impairment. Any questions on any of those things?
Thank you.
Okay,
for the
thank you.
presentation. Okay. Okay, next up, we have select board reports and comments, the 2026-27 select board committee representative appointments.
So I've put it up on the screen. Sorry, I didn't get you the updated one to your emails. The ad hoc budget work group, it's the chair and vice chair. So that is Dawn and Brooke. Audit committee, chair +1. So that is Dawn, and Jill put her name in for that. That's uncontested. Board of Health, both Bobby and Matt have put their names in for that. Cannabis Advisory Committee, nobody has put their name in, so we're looking for a candidate to volunteer for that. Capital Program Committee, Jill has put her name in. Coastal Resiliency, Bobby and Matt again, so those two need to figure that out. Community Preservation, Dawn. Affordable Housing Trust and the PEG, Brooke. Washington Street Resiliency Work Group, Matt, and I think we usually do 2 on that, so we're looking for one more person for that also.
I don't think 2 are necessary. I suggest that work group be revised to have one select board member.
One is fine. And then I
We
think,
even need it?
I think it's
No,
wrapping
the
up.
committee, I mean, what does it do?
Well, it has been, with that committee had been doing the planning for the Washington Street work, and there's going to be more going on there.
What work are we doing on Washington Street?
That's the raising the,
You're serious, right?
what's that?
You're gonna raise Washington Street?
No, the road eventually is, but this is, we've had it here. This.
I know, that's what I'm asking, what it's there for. I mean, I've been trying to find out what this committee is for a while, and
All right, sorry.
This back and forth
All right.
is
I'm
getting
just-
too informal.
All right.
It's a whole collaboration with the land bank for all
Yes.
sorts of different drainage work and so forth, right?
Yes.
Should we just wait on that one until, I don't know as much about it either.
Well, Matt
Well,
should
we
just
already have
stay
Matt
on
on
it.
it, so that's fine.
And you don't
So,
need another one. Okay.
so the
Great.
2 that need to be worked out between Bobby and Matt are Board of Health and CRAC, and then we need one person to volunteer for cannabis.
I mean, I'll stay on cannabis. There's not much going on, but I have a lot already on here. So if somebody else wants an assignment, we don't meet very often.
And Bobby, if you can pick, I'll take the other.
I'll
That's-
take the Board of Health, you take crack, and I
Okay.
can come to crack because there's
Yep.
an open seat, so maybe I'll take the open seat.
Okay.
I mean, we can have 2 members there and
Yeah.
not have a quorum, so.
They do minutes and everything.
Does-
Crack?
Yeah.
They're supposed to.
Yeah,
Okay.
they do.
Okay. Just making sure that 2 members could be
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah, so I'll
That's
take the
fine.
Board of Health, you take, because the name cracks me up. But, yeah,
So who wants cannabis?
We're still in the meeting. Come on.
What's the legal limit?
I'm drug tested, sorry.
But I think
I would say Bobby and Jill have the least amount of commitments.
Okay,
problem
well,
with-
wait a minute.
I'm gonna
I
put you right out
just
there.
take cannabis. It's fine. It's
yeah.
easy.
I'm not comfortable
nothing
doing
really
cannabis
Oh,
because of,
you've got the conflict.
and I also have to be drug tested for the federal government. So how can I be on a committee that approves it when I'm technically can't do it because of my business? So I,
It's actually more of a committee that regulates it, not approves
even
it,
worse.
but
Okay. So
Yeah, I just want to remind you that the capital committee meets weekly for 7 months. So it's a commitment. This isn't light.
I'll do the Board of Health. Matt's gonna take
I'll do
what's
Concom.
left.
Okay.
What's
Okay.
left?
So and all the rest are
we're good.
And then there was a Pulpus committee, and I was on it for 3 or 4 years.
Yep.
And this,
You guys voted to disband
we
it last year.
disbanded it, and as soon as we disbanded it, I got a phone call that the neighbors and community sailing and et cetera were having issues. So I met with them, and I think we solved it for this year. I think we sorted it out. And what had happened, it hadn't been called because Jim Lentowski used to call it once a year. And that kind of fell away. And so now Cormac has agreed to call it when necessary, and I think we've worked through it. But, so I don't think it has to be reinstated, but if something happens, I'm willing to, just sort of try to keep them together.
May I suggest that it get set up as a town manager work group and call it a day so that it's not a committee?
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay, great. We'll just do that by unanimous consent. Next up, we have the update on the investigation of the African Meeting House vandalism, and Brooke has taken this over.
Yep. So really nothing to report other than the investigator, Mr. Brigham, is on vacation. I believe he was submitting his draft report for internal peer review while he was away, and then he'll review it again, and expected delivery of the report is the end of June.
Clifford?
Cliff Williams, member of the African Meeting House Committee to investigate.
Cliff, I just want to clarify for the record. It is not a committee to investigate. It was a procurement committee to hire someone to review the investigation. So I just want to clear that up for the record. That's a misstatement. Thank you.
Oh, I'm not misstating anything. Let me read for you the original article. It was to see if the town would vote to appropriate and also raise, borrow pursuant to any applicable statute, to transfer from available funds to be spent pursuant to funding, undertaking an investigation, but not limited to the hate crime at the African Meeting House in 2018. Moreover, to review the investigation of the conduct of the town administration, Board of Selectmen, Nantucket Police Department, Cape and Islands DA, the Attorney General's Office. This would be conducted by a professional team of independent investigators, starting with Charlie Perry, a retired captain of New Bedford Police Department, Barbara Burgle from the director of the Cape and Islands Cape Verdean Museum in Falmouth, Massachusetts, Rowan Russell, a former director of the 4th Congressional District of Massachusetts, and William DeCarmo, a federal civil rights consultant. They would be given all the rights and privileges to conduct an investigation of all documents, the interviews of town and state officials that would result in a release of a public document and an investigation that would be have the oversight of the article's sponsor. They would also be given the ability to hire an independent investigator under the statute of 30B Appendix A under the contract exemption and exceptions, so they could just pick whoever they wanted. This is how the article started. And if you've watched me for the last couple of months, I've stood here and asked Malcolm McNabb, as the head of our committee, I'm not sure who voted him in, to have another meeting. And he's told me, remember, I'm in charge. So I don't know how you have a committee when a guy becomes a committee of one to be in charge. I was appointed, I thought this was serious. We came up with an agreement that we were going to meet with the investigators. I spoke with the investigator about a month ago. Now he's ghosted me.
The investigator
Yeah.
was hired through the procurement that the work group worked out. The investigator has completed a report that he has sent to a peer of his to review his report. And then a draft will be available.
Right. So we were supposed to meet with the investigator. He was supposed to get names and people and evidence from us. And that's what was agreed upon. And that's what I've said to Malcolm several times, but that's not what's been done. So I'm not sure if you're taking this serious or not. I know everybody here has taken an oath. There was an article voted on by town meeting, and I really think we haven't taken it seriously. I think we've wasted a lot of the town's money if this is the direction we're going to continue in. And I think there has to be a real investigation. And we need to meet as a committee with these investigators, and I've requested it several times.
We have been over this many, many times, and I think what I will do is, if not for next week, the week after, I will prepare a timeline and a review of exactly what happened at town meeting, the actual motion, not the original article as written by the citizen. There was a different motion that was actually what was authorized by the voters at town meeting. There have been many claims about what this process is or should have been versus what it actually has been. And I'd be happy to prepare a summary for the board at, it's going to take me a little time to put it together, but I will do that and review it in earnest for the community's benefit so that accurate information is being put out there.
So how can you have accurate information if you weren't part of the committee to begin with? Through you, Madam Chair.
It's information about what was voted at town meeting and the procurement process and what the committee's charge was, which was all a very transparent process. But let's have Brooke put it together and also let the investigator finish his work.
Right, and that would entail him meeting with the committee. I know Luke wants to meet with him. I haven't heard from Rocky. Dr. Trent's disappeared. She's missing in action.
Well, you said you did speak to the investigator.
Right, and he told me he was going to come to the island, and he was excited about meeting with people if we had information, and since then, he's ghosted me. I haven't heard from him. I've texted him, called him. I've heard nothing back from him. So things are going smoothly.
I said I will report back to the select board in a matter of weeks.
Any committee reports? Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That carries unanimously 5-0. Thank you. Good night, everyone.